We've got another Covrprice top 10 from 1 year ago. All right, guys, I'm doing a quick 17,500 subscriber giveaway. Here are the items we're giving away. Do they look familiar? That's because they weren't claimed at the 15K giveaway. Now, if you want them, too late. It's been long enough. If you want to win them, stick around to the end of the video to find out how. All right, guys, here comes our top 10 from 1 year ago. If you could, though, hit that subscription button along with the notification bell. The notification bell will let you know when I post content. Regular content, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, but that notification bell will let you know when our live shows happen, the live shows, the auctions, giveaways, stuff like that. So you want that notification bell clicked on. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up. And I want to hear from you guys, like always, in the comments down below. What do you think of this week's top 10? How many of these books did you have? How many books did you do well on? Did you lose out on? We're going to go through it right now. But first, got to give love to Covrprice. If you are buying and selling comics, then you need to try Covrprice. Covrprice is a collection management system and comic book price guide all rolled into one. With Covrprice, you can track the value of graded and raw comics easily. They pull actual sales data from 5 major online marketplaces, so you always know what your collection is worth. It's a pain researching what everything in your collection is worth, but with Covrprice, you don't have to. It'll track everything for you. With all the data they capture, they also put out a data-driven top 10 and weekly comic report filled with interesting comic sales. They have a 10-day free trial, so there's nothing to lose. Give them a try. So thank you to Covrprice for this list. We are going to get into it right now. All right, guys, we are starting here at number 10, and oh my, every single person watching this right now could be kicking themselves. There might be a few of you that got in ahead of the curve. Number 10 on our list, Ultimate Fallout 4. My goodness, Miles, probably one of the best and loved characters out of the last decade. At this time last year, his first appearance's market value was skyrocketing on a weekly basis. I'm sure everyone remembers that. With Raws averaging around $200, 9.8 going for a crazy $696. Could you believe it? Here we are a year later, and those prices were steals. 9.8 averaging around $2,900. Back in April, they were hitting nearly $4,000. Raws were reaching almost $1,500. Guys, if you got into this book a year ago and paid those high prices, which I really thought they were high, you are looking pretty. Talk about a boost. This is a massive boost. This is probably the biggest boost of any of the books we've done so far on any of these lists. This is a big one, and there may still be room, which is mind-blowing. But with that, let's go down to number 9. We actually talked about this book 2 weeks ago. With number 9, we've got Darth Vader, number 3. This is, as noted, Dr. Aphra was just a few weeks into her market climb. While Dr. Aphra wasn't quite capturing what Ahsoka was doing over in Clone Wars number 1, she sure moved a lot of copies at steady prices, trending at $45 raw, $225 and a 9.8 at this time last year. 1 year later, she's jumped in price to $225 raw, $512 and a 9.8. She is just getting started, guys. Another big boost on numbers 10 and 9 on this list. Dr. Aphra and Fuego, Miles, crazy hot. 2 for 2 right now if you had picked these up a year ago compared to where we are now. Now, a little bit of change here. Let's slide down to number 8. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 550. This one's going to hurt a little. This is an interesting entry from last year. We'll get into it a little bit more below, but it was announced this exact time 1 year ago that Jackpot was being written for a theatrical release by Sony. While Jackpot does appear in this issue, it's more notably the first appearance of Menace, Lily Hollister. Menace wasn't noted anywhere in the press announcement, so we assume that there was speculation out there that Menace would be a villain in that film. Regardless, it has a high raw sale of $26.25 and 9.8 hit later at a high of $146. 1 year later, it's jackpot. Who? Menace who? It's not clear if this film was canceled, but there sure hasn't been any news since. Hence the fall to $9 raw sales, $67 and a 9.8. Guys, this is a big bust. I don't know who was specking on this. I certainly wasn't. I hope you guys weren't. This just had terrible written all over it from the beginning. But hey, we've all made mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, moving books, buying and selling. So it happens, and I understand, and you're forgiven. With that, let's go down to number 7. This is amazing. Spider-Man number 4, Silk. Give it to me. In the same jackpot press announcement last year, both Nightwatch and Silk were mentioned in reference to a previous 2018 announcement as also being developed theatrically. This lit what we thought was a huge fire under Cindy Moon's first appearance as Silk in this issue. It sold for $70 raw, had a high sale of $149.99 and a 9.8. 1 year later, we've had confirmation in both a showrunner and writer for the Silk project. We've even had casting rumors that all push this book into all new highs. $172 raw, $460, 9.8. Wait until casting is announced and then watch this climb even more. Another big boost on this. Big numbers, guys. First appearance of Silk, Cindy Moon, ASM number 4. This is a book. I know Mr. Dave in the Cave over at 3 Men has been hoarding this book. It was a super affordable, and it was written everywhere that this was gonna pop. She was coming. Now with that, how about we go to number 6? Okay, this is Amazing Spider-Man, the free comic book day from 2007, Swing Shift number 1, Director's Cut. At noted, Deadline reported that Mark Guggenheim was scripting a Spider-Man universe heroine jackpot movie for Sony Pictures. This news made her first appearance as Sarah Ehret in this 2007 free comic book day Swing Shift book jump in price. Collectors really went for this director's cut as it was harder to find, and with no incentive variant, this was the closest thing. It had a high sale of $22 raw. No 9.8s ever came to market. 1 year later, this book has gone cold, trending at $8. However, this is a great book to pick up. As we've seen with Young Avengers number 1 Director's Cut, the market is open to grabbing these. And this issue also marks the first cameo appearance of Mr. Negative, who appears in 2 panels via a TV monitor, speaks, and is called by his name. And a fantastic villain. There's definitely some long-term potential in this, and now is a great time to buy. Guys, if you bought it at $22 a year ago, you didn't lose that much now. Still 9.8s. Potentially it's a bust. All right, are you really going to cry if you spent $22 and now the book's only worth $8 when there's still all this potential out there? I don't think so. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, we'll consider it a bust, but it's not the end of the world. Let's move down to number 5. Hitting this list one at a time. This is Web of Spider-Man number 99. Yep, if Silk and Jackpot got to be on this list last year, then Nightwatch wanted in as well. His firsts are Web of Spider-Man number 97 as Kevin Trench and Web of Spider-Man 99 as his first appearance as Nightwatch. A year ago, Raws were selling for $9 with a high sale of $112.50 for a 9.8. 1 year later, due to no news, sales have slowed significantly despite holding in value. So guys, right now you see Raws a year ago, $9. Raws today, about $9. It's kind of, the 9.8s are about even. No loss here. Again, one of those characters with a little bit of potential if things start to chatter again. Will it happen? I don't know. I'd rather have the free comic book day book just because of Mr. Negative, but that's just me. Let's move down to number 4. Spidey all over this list this week. Amazing Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day 2007 Swing Shift number 1. Last year, along with the director's cut, this standard Free Comic Book Day version sold very well due to it being Jackpot's first appearance. It had a high sale of $49.99 and a few months later at $240 in a 9.8. 1 year later, Raws have fallen hard. $15. 9.8s jumped though, $300. As noted, this is still a solid book to pick up for Mr. Negative's long-term potential. That's why it's all about Mr. Negative. The same thing with the director's cut. You see the numbers. It was a bust for Raw. I guess a significant bust for Raw, but a boost in graded. This is kind of similar to what we were seeing like 2 weeks ago. A lot of those 9.8s, a lot of those graded copies were good. They were boosts. And a lot of the raw copies were busts. Same with this. How about number 3? I said Spidey was all over the place. Well, here he is again. Number 3. This is Amazing Spider-Man Presents Jackpot number 1. Obviously, last year, the list was highly affected by the jackpot news, which means nothing these days. While there's nothing particularly notable about this issue, it does have a nice cover, and it is a number 1 issue for Jackpot. Had a high sale of $16.99 for a near mint plus raw copy, and there were no 9.8 sales. 1 year later, raw prices have fallen to $7. Barely sells even at that price. Okay, consider it a bust slightly, but like, I don't know. Were you going out buying this jackpot book? I don't know. Not a big deal. It was big deal a year ago, being number what is it, 3 on the list. But let's go to number 2 and let's continue with Spidey. This is crazy. This is Symbiote Spider-Man number 4, the Greg Land second print. Remember this book last year? This was simply one of those hard to find, low print, second print books with a cool cover that gained traction after it went from Covrprice to $50 to $60 to $75 to $90 and finally a high sale, $152, giving this book one of Covrprice's highest trend jumps at 1,745%. Then copies started showing up mixed into Walmart value 3-packs as sellers rushed to list their copies found at Walmart. eBay became flooded and dragged this down to $50, then $40, then $30, etc., etc., etc. 1 year later, copies just sit, with many sellers still holding out for those early high $75 plus sales. However, it now trends at $8. 9.8s are at $75. This was a big bust. This was a big one, going from 152 raw down to 8. My goodness, that hurts. That's a tough one. Now, at number 1 on our list is another Spidey book. It's almost this whole list is all Spider-Man and Dr. Aphra. What are you going to do? Star Wars. I feel like Star Wars will be on every list for the next year. We'll see in 2 weeks. Anyway, here's our number 1 book. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 546. Obviously, the jackpot news surprisingly dominated this list last year. Spider-Man fans jumped all over any news related to the satellite Sony Marvel universe. This issue contains the first appearance of the second version of Jackpot, Alana Jobson. It was unknown which version the film would focus on. Many speculated that it would be Alana, though it doesn't specify which one the film will focus on. Raws were selling at $55 with a high sale of $182 for a 9.8. 1 year later, prices have fallen. $18 raw, $148 and a 9.8. Now, keep in mind that this book has a ton of long-term potential. It features the first full appearance of Mr. Negative, his alter ego Martin Lee, his henchmen, the Inner Demons, and the first appearance of the villain Freak. This is definitely a book you should keep an eye on. I 100% agree with Covrprice on this one. It says a bust. Technically, it's a bust, but there is some potential here, some long-term potential. Again, a lot of Mr. Negative news. I remember all that last year with everything else, with Jackpot and all that. Cool book, cool cover. We'll see where it goes, man. Everything seems to be going up. Not crazy busts. And what would we have? One big bust on this list. Let's wrap it all up now. And before we actually wrap it up, remember, hit up covrprice.com. All that information is going to be down in the description below. But here we go. Let's do some final numbers here. This was the first time last year's top 10 books had multiple busts. If you've watched all of my videos, this is the first time. However, the books that did well did really well. And they did. The early days of Miles and Silk price spikes, come on, they're still worth picking up. This is one list that we wish we bought into. If you bought into all of these specific titles at market last year, then it would have cost you $646 raw, $1,755.50 graded in a 9.8. Today, these books would now sell for over $1,000 raw, $1,060 raw, and $4,577 graded, netting you $414 on the raw side, $2,821.50 on the graded side. Obviously, the value mostly lies with Miles Silk and Dr. Aphra, which we kind of knew going down the line here. However, I don't think many of us would have expected Ultimate Fallout 4 to reach it as high as it has. But what a difference a year makes. Guys, absolutely fantastic. Hey, make sure you check out Covrprice.com and see what their current top 10 and various trending movers and shakers, and come back for the next show and let's see how the books did 1 year later. Again, this video every other Wednesday, we're going over last year's top 10 list. I love doing these. They're so much fun. I appreciate all you guys watching, and as always, keep it comics. All right, 17,500 subscriber giveaway. Here are the items once again. In order to win these prizes, what you have to do is be a subscriber to the channel, like this video, as well as comment on this video. Once we hit 17,500 subscribers, I will do a live show, randomize the comments from a random video, and we will choose our winners. Good luck to everyone, and thank you so much for watching, subscribing, and participating with this giveaway.